Let's get into it. What you're about to hear is too strange for comfort. Number 10. It is 3 in the morning, 300 miles above the Earth. Astronaut Charles Walker floats alone near a window aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery. The crew is asleep. The lights are off. Outside the glass is absolute darkness. Then he sees something. A face, right there, outside the window. Faint but unmistakable. Eyes. A mouth. Calm, still, illuminated by the distant glow of the Earth below. Not reflected in the glass. Outside it, Walker doesn't move. He can't. He blinks. He looks again. It's still there, watching him. From the void. He wrote about it in his journal that night, hand still unsteady. The next morning, the crew dismissed it. Shadow. Optical illusion. Walker simply said, "I know what a reflection looks like." This wasn't one. NASA's explanation was space debris lit by the sun, but debris doesn't have a face, and debris doesn't hold eye contact. 300 miles from the nearest other human being, floating in total silence, he locked eyes with something outside his window, and it looked back first. Number 9. In 1972, during Apollo 17, the last crewed mission to the moon, astronaut Eugene Cernan took a photograph that decades later caused an uproar. At first glance, it looks like ordinary lunar rock formations, but zoomed in, something appears. A shape, upright, casting a shadow, with what looks like a head, torso, and limbs, standing perfectly still in a world where nothing should be standing at all. NASA called it a trick of light. The image became known as the Moon Man. Its proportions match a human body. Its shadow falls at the correct angle for the sun's position. Geologists who studied the image noted the shape is inconsistent with any known lunar rock formation in the surrounding area. Nobody pursued it further. Cernan never mentioned it in his logs, never explained it. He simply left. The idea that humans didn't just visit the moon but discovered it was already occupied. That thought has never been officially dismissed. It has simply never been answered. Number 8. During the Apollo 11 mission in 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin reported something that never made it into the official mission summary. A glowing object, red, then white, then red again, pacing their spacecraft, moving with them toward the moon for miles. The astronauts didn't report it immediately. They knew what would happen. A UFO report could end their careers. So they spoke in code asking Mission Control where the SIVB rocket booster was. NASA replied thousands of miles away. That meant whatever they were watching wasn't part of their own ship. Aldrin later described it as a cylinder-shaped object that seemed to pulse with light. NASA attributed it to a detached panel reflecting sunlight. But a panel doesn't follow you. A panel doesn't pace your trajectory for several minutes and then quietly disappear. Something flew beside humanity's first trip to the moon. We still don't know what it was. Number 7. In 1965, astronauts Frank Borman and Jim Lovell spent 2 weeks orbiting Earth inside a capsule the size of a car. Exhausted, dizzy, and deep into their mission, they heard something that had no source. It started as a faint hum. Then came high-pitched frequencies, rhythmic pulses, and something that almost resembled voices. Both men heard it. Both described it the same way. A musical choir echoing through their headsets. No radio signal from Earth. No other spacecraft nearby. NASA engineers checked for interference, static, overlapping frequencies. Nothing matched. The sounds continued for hours. Sometimes gentle and harmonious, sometimes sharp and dissonant, like music from somewhere the universe keeps to itself. Two men floating hundreds of miles above the world, hearing what sounded like an invisible orchestra in the dark. They called it the space choir. Lovell said it felt like a cosmic lullaby. Nobody has ever fully explained who was singing. 7 down. What you've heard so far has an explanation on file. What comes next does not. Number 6. In 2003, Yang Liwei became China's first man in space. Alone in orbit, he settled into the silence that every astronaut describes as absolute, the kind where you can hear your own heartbeat echo inside your helmet. Then came a sound that should not exist in space. A knock. A single clear metallic tap on the outside of the hull. Then another, and another. Rhythmic. Not random. almost like a code. Yang froze. There was no debris nearby, no mechanical vibration, nothing visible outside the window. After landing, engineers took his report seriously. They struck every part of the spacecraft with tools trying to recreate the sound. None of their attempts matched. The material simply didn't produce that tone. Other Chinese astronauts later reported hearing the same knocking on their own missions. The explanation offered was thermal expansion, metal flexing in the vacuum. Yang never agreed. It wasn't a creak, he said. It was a knock. It had intention. 200 miles from the nearest human being, alone above the Earth, something knocked on the outside of his spacecraft. Not once, repeatedly. And it came back on later missions. Space is not empty. It is just quiet, and sometimes something in that quiet decides to say hello. Number 5. In February 1996, NASA launched the Space Shuttle Columbia on mission STS-75. The goal was to test a 12-mile electrical tether in orbit. The experiment worked until the tether snapped and drifted into the darkness. Then the cameras kept rolling. Dozens of glowing circular shapes appeared in the footage, semi-transparent, shimmering, pulsing with light. Then hundreds, drifting in different directions as if floating in a current no one could see. NASA said ice particles reflecting sunlight. But analysts noticed something that didn't fit. Many objects appeared to pass behind the tether. Not in front of it, behind it, which meant they were massive and far away. Their movement didn't follow simple physics. Some spun, some changed speed, or others appeared to hover. One astronaut described the view as looking out into an ocean full of life. Whatever they were, there were hundreds of them, and they were watching the tether the same way we were watching them. 5 down. The next 4 make you wonder what space already knows about us, starting with something that 6 grown professionals swore under oath they had seen. Number 4. In July 1984, 6 Soviet cosmonauts aboard the Salyut 7 space station were exhausted after a long repair mission. Then the station filled with a blinding orange glow. When they looked out the window, they saw 7 enormous figures floating alongside the spacecraft, each one luminous, human in shape but radiant, surrounded by a soft mist, with wings that stretched for miles. The cosmonauts described them as smiling, peaceful. The vision lasted 10 minutes. Soviet officials immediately classified the report, labeling it psychological stress from fatigue. But all 6 crew members later swore under oath they had seen the same thing. At the same moment, independently. One said they weren't threatening. They were welcoming. 6 people saw the same wings at the same moment in the same silence. Not one of them ever unsaid it. Not even decades later when there was nothing left to lose. Number 3. During the Apollo missions, Armstrong and Aldrin saw something no one had prepared them for. Light. Behind their eyelids, eyes closed in total darkness, bursts of white and blue and gold fired across their vision, several times an hour, with no source, no explanation, and no way to make it stop. It wasn't hallucination. It was the universe passing through them. Cosmic rays, high-energy particles from deep space moving at nearly the speed of light, straight through the walls of the spacecraft, straight through their skulls and into their optic nerves. The flashes were their brains registering invisible bullets that nothing could block. Those same particles shred DNA. Every flash was the universe reminding them quietly and personally that they did not belong there, that the human body was not built for this. It was simply passing through them, indifferent, on its way to somewhere else. They closed their eyes and the cosmos lit them up from the inside. There's no preparation for that. Number 2. In 1985, astronaut Jake Garn was aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery when something outside caught his eye. It wasn't a star. It wasn't debris. It was glowing, drifting, and moving as if it were alive. It looked like a jellyfish made of pure light. Translucent body, pulsing softly, expanding and contracting as if it were breathing. The color shifted from deep ocean blue to warm green and back again as it floated just beyond the shuttle. The crew gathered at the window, speechless. It moved deliberately, pacing the shuttle for several minutes before fading into the blackness. NASA analysts labeled it an ionized gas cloud, particles released by the shuttle's engines. That explanation would be tidy, except the phenomenon kept happening. Later astronauts described similar glowing orbs that appeared to watch from afar. Soviet cosmonauts reported plasma entities following their craft for miles. One veteran astronaut said, "It felt like being studied. It seemed to know we were there." Number 1. The pattern. Every event on this list has an official explanation. Debris, ice, fatigue, plasma, thermal expansion. The files are closed, the cases are settled, and in almost every single case, the trained professional who was actually there looked at that explanation and said, "That is not what happened." There's the version of space that gets reported, and there is the version the astronauts came back describing quietly in journals, in interviews given years later, in sworn testimony. Those two versions have never agreed, and no one in charge has ever felt the need to explain why.